Good morning, Celtic fans, and welcome to this morning's Celtic news. And the transfer news this morning it's probably a bit of transfer news that you didn't want to hear, but Kieran Tierney is going to Spain rather than coming to Celtic. There was a lot of fans clambering to the fact that Kieran Tierney was linked to come back to Celtic, and as I sort of suggested, there's more chance of him going to Spain because, let's face it, the Spanish club can't afford to pay his salary. They will cover his salary until June next year. Tierney has accepted the terms. Medical has been scheduled for the next day or so. Clubs have exchanged all documents, and that is the news that broke about an hour ago. So where will Celtic look to now for a transfer for that position? Brendan Rodgers has admitted that Celtic are weaker than they were at the end of last season. He said Celtic are now looking to improve the squad ahead of next week's deadline. It was absolutely devastating news yesterday for Celtic fans, the fact that two of our centre-backs will be out for 8 weeks with hamstring injuries. We did allow Carl Starfelt to leave the club, and we also allowed Jota to leave the club for 25 million. We've spent roughly about 15 million so far, but we are not better placed as it stands at the moment, the manager says. Hence the reason that we need to go back into the transfer market, particularly with the defensive crisis that we now have. Rocky, Carter Vickers and Stephen Welsh are out for medium to long term. Well, medium, you're talking 8 weeks anyway for the three of them, which takes us right into the Champions League campaign. It is a bit of a devastating blow to Celtic to have those three players out. Rio Hatate, he will be out until the international break, which is the week after the Rangers game. And look, he said, he was asked the question, are we stronger? Is the squad stronger than last term? And Rodgers admitted, he said, look, right now we are not as strong as we were last term, but he insists that work is going on in the recruitment department to rectify that. He said, I'm not going to beat about the bush. He says, when I'm talking about the bush, the squad is not as strong. That is the reality, said Brendan Rodgers. We've lost top players. We've got players out for a period of time, so I can't disagree with that, says Brendan Rodgers. The point I make is that we will work very, very hard to improve the squad, says Brendan. I did do a poll on one of the lives the other evening, and I did ask the fact to have the Celtic board been sleeping during this transfer window. 88% of people that were on the live voted yes, the board have been sleeping. Brendan Rodgers spoke about it and says that as he stands just now, the squad is weaker as we stand this week going into the game. He said also, Brendan Rodgers said, there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. Well, it's definitely not getting Kieran Tierney into the club, because Kieran Tierney has went to Spain and he was getting his medical in Spain. Brendan Rodgers did say, look, the recruitment department are trying to identify players who fit into the model, and that will continue. It is unbelievable that we had, seemingly just a few days ago, we had a list of players that was basically going to come in if anything happened. But now we're trying to scramble around and identify players to fit into the model. Is the model to try and sell them on? Look, Brendan Rodgers also said that we need to bring in quality players. We now need to bring in players that are a little bit older for this squad. We have a young squad at Celtic. We really need to bring in players, Brendan says, that have that little bit experience, have that bit more knowledge about the game, and can fit right into the first team. Brendan Rodgers also said, there's no doubt about it, we lost a match winner in Jota. We lost Carl Starfelt, who was a regular. And you have to remember, when him and Carter Vickers played together, they never lost a game at Celtic. In the squad, he says, when you look at Carter Vickers being out, the mainstay of the team over the last couple of years, with Rio Hatate out too, we are not as good as we were last season as it stands just now. He said, okay, look, it's not been at the level that it should be, but I'm pretty sure we will get there. We're not that very far soon away from getting there. So all of a sudden, you're missing quality players, Brendan. You obviously knew the situation when you came into the club. Were you offered the bag of cash? That's what we want to know. And asked again if it would be stronger as the window closes. He said yes, hopefully we will be. Hopefully. What does that say about our club at the current moment? Hopefully we will be stronger. That means that he's trying to get players in the last minute of the window. It seems like this has been the longest transfer window ever for Celtic fans. People have been talking about the transfer window since last season. As it stands, last season, we only needed to add about 3 or 4 quality players at Celtic to make sure that we went on and maybe done something but get hammered in the Champions League. And as it stands just now, we're all dreading the Champions League draw that's just over a week away. Brendan Rodgers went on to say, I would like to say we have strengthened the squad. It is a team we need to improve. That's an unbelievable comment by Brendan Rodgers. We have improved the squad. We didn't need to improve the squad, Brendan. We needed to improve the team. Celtic board are liable for this summer. They are liable. They've brought in work. They've brought in Yang. They've brought in Odin. You know, you never know where these guys will end up. But he said, I'm very sure they will be very good players for the club. But the club does need to bring in experienced players. Tell me in the comments what you think about this morning. The fact that we have lost out Kieran Tierney to Spain. You know, it is unbelievable that we have allowed the situation to happen at Celtic once again, and it's absolutely devastating. It is absolutely devastating for us Celtic fans. One piece of good news that is out this morning is obviously the fact that we have been chasing the Wolves player that could be a replacement for Jota, but Daniel Podence has been put on the transfer list at Wolves. So it is good that we might be able to get him at a knockdown price, because let's face it, we are not paying anywhere near £10 million for the Wolverhampton Wanderers player. Not a chance at all. Celtic could do a deal for him to bring in the winger, but is he ready? Is he ready to come to Celtic, and will he fill the void that was left by Jota? And in other transfer news this morning, Celtic have rejected a bid for Matt O'Reilly, but they are expecting they're expecting another bid to come in for Matt O'Reilly before the transfer deadline on Thursday next week. It is unbelievable to think that a Serie A club, Bologna, have made an offer for Matt O'Reilly. We did buy him for £1.5 million from English third-tier club MK Dons. If we were to sell him, it would be a massive profit for the 22-year-old. But Celtic have initially knocked back the offer. Where does that leave Celtic? You know, if we sell O'Reilly, are you happy about that? We cannot afford to sell any more players within the squad. We are weak enough as it is. If we were to sell O'Reilly, there would be absolutely mayhem in the stands. I wonder what the Green Brigade will say about the current situation this weekend. Will they have banners? Tell me in the comments. Do you think the Green Brigade will make their voice known this weekend? It's an unbelievable time to be Celtic fans. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, because there will be a live. It will be a little bit earlier this evening, probably around about 6 p.m. Celtic part time. So come join us for that. Have your say on the channel this evening. And let's just hope that maybe we had hoped Celtic would have stepped into the transfer market this week and brought in players. We have since turned down a bid for Matt O'Reilly. We have put one transfer saga to bed. The fact that we cannot afford to take Kieran Tierney. He has now moved to Spain. We have brought no one in this week. There are only days left in the transfer window. What are you playing at Celtic?
Lit. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party.